Colossals of Horror.
Hello, and welcome to our first installment of Colossals of Horror. I am your host, Darren Mitchell, and I'm here with my co-host,
Lawrence Brown.
And today we're going to be talking about the much-anticipated film, at least in our eyes, Ginger Clown.
So, pull up a chair, grab a beer, and let's get to it.
Well, first I want to give a little bit of a background about this film. Lawrence and I kind of discovered some little tidbits of info on, line about it.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. I actually found it on YouTube of a random. I was looking up trailers, and I randomly came across this and showed Darren, and that's where our year journey has begun.
Yes, and by year journey, it was literally a year journey. There's a lot of mixed reviews at first, things online saying about release dates. There was a release date back, I believe it was in 2012. So by the time we found these YouTube clips or whatever, we started searching it, looking for torrents of the film. Unfortunately, we couldn't find anything. So then a couple months later, we had given up. And
well, not only that, we've also even gone to other friends. We have this one buddy who's a hardcore movie fan who has a relative who lives in England. So we went into that aspect of trying to find it, trying to search for it any way we can to get our hands on it.
Well, and that's where we came up kind of empty-handed, because then we saw another release date for 2013 online too. So then, hopes came up again, and we tried to find the film and couldn't find it. Well, lo and behold, we found that there was a release date of February 13th, 2014, and it was only going to be released in the UK. It is a Region 15 film, so you can't. Unless you have a UK-based DVD player, you will not be able to play the film.
Well, not only that, you also got to go into where you couldn't even find it on the American website. We ended up having to go to a European Amazon.
I actually purchased the film from finding it on Amazon UK, and that's how I found that it did have a release date through Movie Rocket Entertainment and Anchor Bay Entertainment for January 13, 2014, and it had a pre-order. So I bought it. It cost me about $18 US. It came in about 14 days, and now I have the film. And I'm excited to, have this film because it was on a limited release. And, depending on how well the film does, it might not come to the US. So it might be something you can only get in the UK. But it all around this... that's pretty much our background with trying to discover this film.
The story of finding Ginger Clown.
Of Ginger Clown. And I'll be honest, the real reason we really wanted to see this is because it's Tim Curry's in it. And even on the case, when the film first came out and there was, images of the cover and info circulating around the film, it was supposed to come out in 3D originally, and it didn't come out in 3D. And they actually changed the cover, I noticed as well, when it came to me.
Well, also the biggest selling point, too, like you said, is Tim Curry, which we all know as the infamous Pennywise clown.
Pennywise the Dancing Clown from It.
Which is one of Darren's favorite movies, so that was obviously a big selling point. And Tim Curry's amazing voice, so that was an instant just hit for us.
Tim Curry he's just somebody I love. I loved him in Home Alone. I loved him in Legend. I loved him in Clue. I just love Tim Curry as a character. I love his voice. And the other thing I noticed about the cover here is it says "It has returned" is the tagline. So I don't know if that's some reference to Pennywise the Clown and It. In the film, I definitely noticed that the creepiness of Pennywise the Dancing Clown does transcend through Tim Curry's voice in the film.
Yeah, they definitely used it as a selling point to get people to come into this film for sure.
And that just goes back to why we were first very interested in this film. And not only that, but this film is stacked with actors. I mean, the worm creature in this film is Brad Dourif, who everyone knows as Chucky. We have Nellie the Spider Woman, who is played by Sean Young, and she was in Blade Runner.
And she was also in if you guys remember, the bad lady in Ace Ventura, the first one. She was the cop.
Okay, yeah, she was a woman cop in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. And then we have the Brain Eater that was played by Lance Hendrickson, who everyone knows has been in the Alien franchise. the Ginger Clown was Tim Curry. Let's see.
More or less, this movie, when we saw it, let alone Tim Curry, was stacked with A-list horror. So that was another giant selling point for us. Because, again, we kind of got this on a whim of just seeing the actual trailer and just seeing all those characters in it, or the actors.
Yes, and I just want to say also Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies is in it, and he is playing the stomach grumbler, and I think he has some pretty funny parts in it too, which is cool.
Which we'll dive into those characters then as well when we go over the plot summary. So,
well, now as Lawrence has just said, we'll talk a little bit about the summary of the movie, a little bit of the plot, and how it came on film. And the movie starts off. They actually, in a lot of advertisements for this film and the trailers, they market it as a comedy, an 80s cheesy comedy. That's what it's supposed to be. So that in itself was another reason why we really wanted to see it.
Yeah,
we did.
They definitely geared towards the 80s base, like Evil Dead, the horror comedy. That was like their demographic for selling this.
Yeah, and so the movie starts off. They're around, the couple jocks.
Well, let's start out where it's actually based out of. The whole movie more or less starts. It's a British film, but it takes place in Los Angeles, and I believe it's the year 1986, which is the year I was born. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, then that's right, and it starts off. It's kind of, I don't know. It kind of gave me like the graphics in the film kind of. And I believe that's the work of Movie Rocket. It just has that almost Sin City type of look. It just has the film style. I like the film style a lot, and the the little CGI that they used and stuff like that. All the characters in Ginger Clown, as far as Tim Curry and Michael Winslow, Brad Dourif, Lance Hendrickson, they're all animatrized like puppets.
Yeah,
which is another reason why we wanted to see it, because we're kind of tired of the CGI. Sorry, my phone keeps going off, but
yeah, well, that's definitely another big thing in the movie. Is it's a mix of like horror meets labyrinth. Like it's just like typical 80s using puppets like Jim Henson, and it looks amazing when you see the YouTube trailer. But
the film, itself, again, the plot is
let's break down the plot.
The plot. The plot is that it's a group of high school kids, and they're daring. There's the nerdy kid, there's the pretty girl, there's the jock.
There's the jerk boyfriend. Yes.
The jerk boyfriend. His name is Biff, ironically, as in an '80s spoof. He's
Back
played by
Future.
Michael Cannell Griffiths, and this is his first film. Erin Hayes played Jenny. She's the main character. This is also her first film. And Sam, the geeky kid, is played by Ashley Lloyd, and this is also his first film.
So pretty much the main characters are a bunch of no names in the horror.
No names in the film, and
films,
I'll be honest, the acting was okay. There's parts where it was intended to be cheesy, and that's cool for the premise of the movie, but some of the acting was a little weak, I have to admit.
But we digress. Okay, so the plot of the movie.
The plot of the movie is Biff, the boyfriend, is picking on Sam, Ashley Lloyd, and he's trying to make him go into this abandoned amusement park to prove his love, or to stand up and be a man. So,
well, it's almost like the typical cheesy 80s line where it's like there's the nerdy kid, he comes in, he runs into the cool kids while they're hanging out, drinking their beers, smoking their drugs, doing their cool thing of high school, and they come upon the nerdy guy riding his bike home, and it's, again, the classic let's dare the nerdy guy to go into the haunted amusement park that everyone is known that it's the scary place to go, and that, the locals go to for fun, to drink beer and have sex with their girlfriends.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the movie itself starts at the infamous cliff. Take your girlfriend to the cliff to have your makeout sessions or whatever.
Lover's Lane. Yes.
Lover's Lane, yeah. So they pick on Sam, the nerd, and they end up the girl gets mad and she wants to go into the amusement park to get away from the mean boyfriend. So of course Sam, the nerd, follows her, and they go in and they just run up on all these different characters throughout the film: the worm creature, Spider Woman, the brain eater, the stomach grumbler. and of course Ginger Clown. And it took a nice spin for me. I mean, I really enjoyed the film, I have to say. Lawrence has a little bit of mixed issues with the film. I'm more into the cheesy stuff. I mean, I love Reanimator. I love Oz Zombies. Those are the movies that I really like. And
But that's the thing. Okay, I love the movie. The biggest thing for me, again, like we were saying all these characters, but we're not diving into like why are they there? Why is this amusement park haunted? And that's the thing. The movie doesn't tell you. So you more or less have these kids going into a haunted amusement park with no background whatsoever. So that was my biggest thing. But visually, I can see where Darren's coming from, enjoying the look of it all again, 80s vibe completely with the whole puppets and everything. But that was my biggest thing in the movie, because you really have no idea what's happening, or not what's happening, but why they're even there.
Well, and that's why I go back to it was marketed as an 80s cheesy movie. You knew it was going to be this type of movie going into the film, and that's why I loved it. And I just love, like, if you can pull Brad Dourif, Tim Curry, these actors together and put them into a movie that's supposed to be a spoofy horror, I think that's just gold to me. And those things make me look past the not so good acting and so forth. And I just, because I have so much love for the characters in the film, and the idea that they'll come together after, it was done in 1990, I think it was. Aliens was 79. To bring these people together and do a film like this, and then have it as has almost like a cult movie where it's hard to find. Even the movie's hard to find. That in itself is just what puts it on another level for me. So,
well, let's go into that too with the actual characters, because what we're saying, we kind of spilled off all the actual characters and like who they are, such as like Darren said, the Brain Eater, Nellie, the Spider Woman. So these guys go into this park, and at each attraction, every corner they turn, they run into some weird creature of some sort, like this insane creatures that live in the park. But again, we have no idea why they're there. So each turn, you get the worm creature, Nellie's spider.
Well, in the film, they kind of touch on why, and the reason it was just because it was that place in that small town that people disappeared 40 years ago. That's where they run off with that. But again, I don't know. That's just why I love the craziness about it. I think art in itself is just to make someone feel something, and this movie made me feel something because I like to hear Tim Curry's clown voice. I like to hear Brad Dourif when he yells.
Yeah, it definitely gives off that nostalgic vibe. If you grew up like we did with all those 80s classics, you definitely get that sense of like going back to your childhood, hearing Chucky's voice, hearing Tim Curry doing his creepy laugh. So here, we'll go into pros and cons. That is my pro for the movie. What would your pro be?
And I agree. I mean, like I said, my pro for the movie would be just the stacked actors in the film, and just the mystery of even trying to find this film. And this was literally a year search for me.
Well, that's the biggest thing too, I think, for me, which was kind of why I ended up having a downfall with this movie, was there was so much anticipation build up for me that I was expecting so. I mean, we literally, he got this movie, we planned out a day to have a movie viewing for it. I came over the second he got it, and we watched it. So I think for me there was a little more build up of anticipation for the movie, where then I had so much high expectations, I think I was let down. But I think if I do watch, because I only watched it once, so
see, that's the thing. I watched it a few times since we watched it, because at first, I like to watch a movie, especially a movie I've been anticipating more than once, just for the fact that if I watch it a couple days later or whatever, I'm going to catch stuff I didn't notice the first time. And that's just, I obsess over movies when I watch them, and that's just my approach with them. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. The second time I watched it, I must say, I definitely wasn't as creeped out as I was the first time, because when Ginger Clown's speaking or he's attacking one of the kids, it's kind of very quick, and it's I noticed that they used a lot of the music to amplify that scene. And I have to say, as far as visually, the movie is awesome. In my opinion, I like their approach. I like the puppeteering they did. I thought it was a good spin from CGI.
But it actually does use a lot of CGI.
It uses a little bit of
Not-
CGI,
not
but,
on the-
but
not-
it's like the CGI you see in Spawn.
Yeah, it's
back in 1996.
Well, that's horrible.
Well, that's not
That's
horrible
horrible CGI.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, it's,
Okay, but the monsters are strictly puppets. So when I say CGI, I'm saying like the backgrounds, like like they're totally using green screen for the entire intro of showing like the that's another thing I don't think we said. It takes place in Hollywood. Yeah, because that's how it starts out. They're on the up at the Hollywood sign. So like everything, like background wise, is very CGI. But I'll give them credit. That's another pro for me is actually because again I hate CGI. So the biggest pro for me would be that they didn't use any CGI for the actual monsters in this because this definitely is a monster movie.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Well, you also got to understand it's hard to reinvent a monster. It's hard to reinvent. I just like the fact that they're taking a step back. Me and Lawrence have watched so many documentaries lately on the creation of monsters and the making
makeup
of monsters,
and
the makeup and all that, and this what happens behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I just think it's really cool that they're trying to take that angle. And I know a lot of it has to do with budget, and this probably wasn't a big budget film. But the fact that they're still doing it is what's interesting to me.
See, now that's my question. Do you think, because, I mean, they got everyone involved with this who was part of the biggest franchises. I mean, not just one horror movie, but, like, multiples. Like, how many Chuckies were there? How many, like, who else was in person on there? Okay, more or less Chucky, but Alien, too. I mean, they had some big franchise people in this in classic 80s. So do you think they were, do you think they had a budget and were expecting this to be a huge film? And that's why it kept having to be pushed back because they had issues with that?
Well, we also have to take into consideration during, I believe it was either the filming or the release of this film, Tim Curry, that's when he had, I think it was a seizure.
He got sick of some sort,
Seizure or heart attack. It was I forget which.
So maybe they were expecting him to be way more involved in that, that we did not look up. But
yeah, which I'm surprised because of how much research we did on this film.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, since you liked this so much,
I did like it, and I just want to bring up one last thing with that is just I'm also being a musician and knowing that how much music can impact like a scene in a film.
So you
I have to say I definitely enjoyed the score. The score, the music they did in this. I think it really amplified some of the scenes. It made them a little creepier, and yeah, I was a fan of the music. So I'd have to say I would give the film overall.
Well, wait, hold on. Let's not go into that yet.
Okay.
Since you're more of a pro of it, or like inclined to say that you like it, what would you say a con of this movie would be?
A con of this movie, a downfall of this movie for me. Okay, downfall.
Can you think of one? Because I can think of many.
Okay, let me see.
Fair. Let me start.
I would have to say that I'm sorry. The downfall of this film would be the acting for me, and I know it was a couple of these people's first film, and I got to say Aaron Hayes did really well, and Sam did really well too. I think Biff was a little cheesy, but I think it was intended to be that way. But I would have to say the overall downfall for me would just be the acting of the newer actors. Other than that, I really enjoyed the film.
Okay, well, for me, we all don't expect much in acting in a horror movie, obviously. So I'll even give them that. Like, okay, not the best actors, but this movie is based to be an American film, and they have British actors, obviously, because it's made in the UK. So they're supposed to be young American high school kids, and they're speaking in British accents. Like, they're trying so hard to do an American accent. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the whole time, I'm like, wait, they're in Hollywood, right? But they're doing American accents. So that was obviously the first, and this happens within the first, 10 seconds of the movie. You're like, wait, where is this supposed to take place? Is there a Hollywood over in the UK?
Yeah,
but
I know.
That was a big con for me. And then, obviously, like I said, too, I'm totally, a person who loves an origin story. I don't like watching movies just, seeing monsters running around. I need to know why this happened. Like with the Chucky movies, you know the background. He became, he was the serial killer or whatever who then wanted to live forever, so he possessed himself in a doll. So with this, that was another big con for me, that there is no background story. It's just, here's monsters, here we go.
Okay. It makes sense. I agree. I agree to some extent. I just feel like I've had so much invested in the film. I've had so much research.
So you have a little bit of a attachment to it.
I have an attachment to it, and I just love. I've always wanted them to do an It, and I know there's speculation that they're going to do another It, and I hope it will give me that same feeling that the original did, and it still does today. And right now, this is your second It.
This
this is my It, and it gives me a little bit more understanding why they said it has returned on the front.
And we have to go into that too. Like Darren's favorite horror movie growing up is It.
It's one of. I wouldn't say It itself. I would just say Pennywise, as a character.
Even though he's terrified of clowns, but
and I am, and that's what's great. And that, you know what? That's why I'm gonna give this movie a rating of a 3.5.
Wait,
3.5 star.
we're doing our rating system 1 to 4.
1 to 4, yeah, 1 to 4 rating system.
Let's keep it solid. What do you think? 1 to 4 stars.
Okay, if
and one being the lowest, obviously, and 4 being like knockout.
To be fair, I'm gonna give it a 3 star. I was thinking about giving it a 3.5, but I'm giving it a 3 just based solely on the acting.
Okay, and I want to give it a 0, but I did like the actual puppets and like the imagery because it really brought me back to like Labyrinth and even Evil Dead, like Evil Dead Part 2, where it's like they have a lot of just the puppets and like it definitely gave it off an 80s vibe, even though the plot was horrible and no background story. But I'll give it a 1.
A 1. Okay. So we got a 4.
No, you got a 3.
We got a 3, and we have a 1 for the film Ginger Clown. Again, if you would like to find this.
So what's that average out to? Like a 2?
I guess so.
So I mean, I would definitely say you see it. It's one of those movies you see just to see.
In my opinion, you're either gonna love it, you're gonna have respect for it, or you're just not. You're gonna think it's a terrible movie. And
also too, it's one of those movies to see because it is so obscure right now. Like try getting your hands on it. Again, we said he found it on.
If you're interested and you want to find this film, I recommend going. If you live in the UK, I'm sure it's pretty prevalent out there. You can probably pick it up anywhere. But if you're from the US, I would say go to Amazon UK and search for Ginger Clown, and you should be able to pick it up for, I think it was around $18 I got it for. It took about 14 days to get here. Came right to my door, and there's no issues with it. It came, it was good, it played. What I do say is if you live in the UK and you have a Region 15 code player, you can play it in your DVD player. Here in America, I have a Mac desktop. I played it in my Mac. I had to watch it online. It didn't work in my Xbox. It didn't work on any of my DVD players, but I was able to. When I popped it in, it asked me to change my region code on my computer, and I was able to view the film.
And also, there are a lot of DVD players out there now, the newer ones, I think, that do play it. So you should be good to go if you order it.
Well, just so that's the best way you can secure it. That's the only way I know how to get it right now. I'm not sure how many are in the U.S. right now, so this might be a good one to come out and grab.
This is one of those movies you go, if you're a big horror fan, you get it, you see it, and then you rub it in your friend's face that you saw this because no one else has seen it.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing right now. So
overall, Darren gave it a 3. I gave it a 1. Even though I gave it a 1, I still say see it. So
exactly. So from here now, we want to bridge into our 60 seconds in the Dead Pit. This is the portion of our podcast where we talk about a film that's up and coming, something that we're really excited about seeing, and something that I think could be a game changer. And I think what we're going to discuss today is the new Eli Roth film Clown, which is due to come out sometime in 2014.
I didn't realize this. We got a theme today. We're doing clowns.
Yeah, it is clowns. I didn't think about that. That's nice. It's good leeway into it. So we're gonna just spit off a little bit of what we are anticipating about the movie Clown, Eli Roth. There's no release date yet. It could possibly be released in 2015. We don't know. But here we go. 60 seconds. I want to see this film because just the trailer itself, which we're going to throw up here, you're going to see, it's just really creepy. It's a new spin on a classic scary clown movie.
Yeah, we'll also post a link down here so you can see it.
It seems like that over time the clown makeup just turns to the man's skin, and he's actually turning into some demonic clown that is going to terrorize his family and possibly other people. So I'm really excited to see this film. It looks crazy. The YouTube trailer that's out so far looks pretty nuts. So this is something we're probably definitely going to do.
And you said it's Eli Roth, right?
It's Eli Roth.
Okay, well,
he's doing
see right there, I'll go see it because I'm a big fan of him.
If it's crazy like Hostel and they give it that dark feel to it, I think it's going to be really good. And it's just another like crazy killer clown movie, which which I'm into. So
Which clearly he loves. So.
which clearly we love.
And
so.
again, I got what I saw. I think it looks awesome. I mean, he pretty much explained it, and Eli Roth's doing it. So I think that's 60 seconds. So
That's 60 seconds. Well, I just want to say thank you to our listeners for tuning into our program. Again, we are Colossals of Horror. We're a weekly podcast program.
And also, feel free. We're going to post this up online. So any of our social networks that you see this on, feel free to comment. Give us any ideas of any upcoming horror movies or old horror movies that you want us to review, and give us any feedback. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. See you guys.